This is my 6.4 presentation on providing feedback on performance and prescribing future actions. So the scenario here is that we're obviously giving you feedback based on your performance in the tests we ran, and then finding ways in which we can improve your overall scores and ability when playing. So we're going to be reviewing the notational analysis, the technical model and numerical model. We'll review performance, we'll set targets or goals, and then recommendations of how to reach these goals, and why. So when giving feedback, of course, to be considered is that the feedback needs to be constructive, in the sense that it can't be, you can't be giving feedback that isn't actually beneficial to the performer. It's not going to help their performance, it's not going to help them improve. You don't want to be giving feedback that just makes them feel bad about themselves and then just makes them play even worse and perform even worse. It needs to be something that they can use to build on. Your body and technical language, body language, it needs to be comforting but approachable, maybe stern in certain areas. You don't want to come across as if you don't really care for you don't want to seem very, slouchy, lazy, laid back when you're trying to help them out as an individual. You're trying to make them better. And in terms of technical language, you don't want to be using words or writing words that they simply don't understand in the sport, or be it something to do with physiology and training. It needs to be written and spoken in a way that they're going to pick up on what you're saying and understand what you mean by what you say, or you at least need to be able to explain what you're saying well enough for them to understand completely. It needs to be in a positive frame. Every now and then, obviously, it could be useful to put some more negativity into it, but a lot of the time you want a very positive frame, in the sense that it'll be taken a lot easier. You'll see a lot less resistance if you're being more positive, even about negative parts of things. So if you're staying positive, you are more likely to have a lot less resistance to what you're saying. And they'll be a lot more embracive of the idea of, you trying to help them and criticise them and adjust things and make them work better. You need evidence, of course. So, with us, we've got our videos, we've got pictures, all this evidence to actually show that, here's where you've gone wrong, this is why I want to help you, here's where you've gone well, but this, and, you need the evidence to back up what you're saying, because essentially they could just resist what you're saying, go, no, I played really well, blah, blah, blah. And you want to be able to go, well, if you look in this video, and you can always use the evidence to, whilst you're giving the constructive feedback as such, you can use the evidence just to help support you. Their personality, if they're very shy or not very confident whatsoever, you can't be too upfront, you can't be too confrontational, you don't want to be too harsh, and you don't want to be too direct. However, some people do thrive with that very direct and down to the point feedback, so it does depend on them as an individual. Of course, the structure. Maybe go something good, something bad, something good. Make a sandwich out of it as such, a constructive sandwich, as it may be known as. Where you're gonna tell them where they went well, but they could improve by doing this, but they were doing this very well. That sort of thing. It just makes it come across. It helps to layer up what they've done wrong. It helps to make it seem not quite as bad. It makes them feel not as bad about it. You're still appealing to their, not necessarily their ego, but appealing to, making them feel good, making them feel like they're still doing all right, but there are things that need working on. But then again, they are still doing more and more things right. It can help to put into perspective, they are still good at what they're doing. There's just parts that need work. So in terms of our player, as we said, the small forward. So they are supposed to be a very versatile player. They've got a lot of responsibilities, a lot of expectations. They are key scorers a lot of the time. Well, they're expected to be. They're expected to score a lot, or at least shoot a lot. Also expected to defend shots a lot. They've got to be up and down the court continuously, very quickly, always on their feet. They're known very much so for being rebounders. They receive rebounds, they help set up rebounds, they help prevent They're very involved with rebounds from shots, be it so they can set up a teammate, or they can set themselves up with a shot, or to steal a shot from the opposing team. That's one of the things they do. Passes as well, they're known to have the ball a lot and be moving around very often, so they're usually in the space to be passed to then pass again and set people up. They're meant to be very fast, accurate, agile, all these things just to help them get around the court, be up and down constantly. These guys are meant to be always on their toes, always moving, never stopping. They're very, very crucial to the game, to the team. They're an all-round player. They should be everywhere on the court. They should always be moving, and they should be able to cover a huge variety of different skills that are required throughout a basketball game very easily. They're probably, it'd probably be argued that they're meant to be one of the more skilled players on the court at any given time. So in terms of actually the performance that we're analysing, with you, it's going to be a case of there are factors that affect that. So things like personal issues. It might have been a case of an argument with a girlfriend, or an argument with family, or a grievance in family, grievance in friends, or anything like that. Anything going on in your personal, it could be work related. Just anything like that. You might be coming up to a morning session, or it gets to the end of the day, and you just want to get home. You want to get away from it all. You're not feeling, you've got no energy. You're mentally drained from whatever's happening, and you just don't want to be, giving all your all to play a game of basketball. And these things have to be considered. You can't say, you're absolutely dreadful, just because, things are not good at home is no excuse, blah, blah, because it is. It affects everybody. Everybody takes, things that are happening outside of that sporting situation are always going to be in the back of your head, and it takes a lot to be one of those people that can just put that out of the way while you're playing and not let it affect you, because, things like shooting as well, you get that second of nothing, it's just you and the hoop, and that's when, thoughts go through. That could be a reason for poor shooting. There are all sorts of factors, outside of the sporting situation that can affect performance. Evaluation apprehension. So, we were filming you a lot, taking pictures, writing down grade scores and things like that. Everything you were doing was being evaluated, essentially. And, that can make someone very nervous. You might not like it at all. It just makes you very nervous. It just makes you not feel very good. You just don't like the idea of it. So you might give an amazing performance off camera and outside of evaluation. When everything you're doing is being watched and analysed, it might make you very nervous, bit worried, and you just don't work as well under that situation. Social facilitation inhibition as well. You might, you've got a group around you, you've got other performers around you, you're being analysed. Some people work very well like that, they love being watched, they love being able to almost show off as such, I guess you could say. A bit more extroverted, they like the group situation, they like people watching them perform. Others, more introverted, hate it. They don't like being watched by groups. They'd rather it be a one-on-one thing, they play, or just the team, not an audience. And that's a big thing, that's a big factor. We had an audience a lot of the time. And if that's not what you like, if you don't like working under those circumstances, then it may have affected the way you played. You don't like the idea of the pressure from it, and the potential embarrassment that might be caused from something happening, and that can be a big thing. Previous training and experience, there's certain players there that have been playing basketball for many years, since they were young, and of course you've got elite performers who've been playing all their lives, and if you've only been playing for a year or less, you're not going to be as good as them. You might be, but it's very unlikely. That on paper, that's going to make you look worse as such. It's not going to make you look as sort of experienced, as good as on the court. But there's nothing that can be done in the sense that you haven't trained to the extent they have. You haven't had the experience that they've had, and that's completely understandable. It just means your performance isn't going to be quite up to the level of theirs, and that happens. Also, things like diet, sleep, and the time of day, they affect your overall levels of fatigue, how you're feeling, it could make you feel quite ill, drowsy, nauseous. Equally, if you slept well, good diet, and it's a good time of day for you, then you'd be full of beans, really energised, really ready for it, really up for it. So if little things like that, what you've eaten the night before, if you have or haven't had breakfast, what time you woke up, what time you went to bed, all of these things can have a huge effect on how well you play. So that also, it needs to be taken into consideration. Okay, so here we obviously talk about what we've done, notational analysis. Of course, as you know, that was for the purpose of certain skills. You know, we looked at like here, like your overall movement schematic, and then certain performance indicators. We looked at that, analysed those compared to the group and the top performer as such. Yeah, so you know, here we see, you know, your distance on the left was a lot less than overall our guy on the right. I know it looks a lot more, but it's just a lot more randomised as such. This guy here was very much spread out. You know, spent a lot more time under both nets. He, you know, spent a lot of time down here shooting and rebounding. And you know, that's once again, that's just something that can be looked at. Here we also looked at the number of 2 points you had shot and missed taken overall, compared to the best in the group, and the group's overall mean down here. And yeah, you can see it's much lower, but we'll talk about this properly in a little bit. We also looked at layup, scored and missed. So yeah, you here in the red box. Yeah, so we'll go back to 2 points. Sorry. So here also you see you scored substantially less than taken and scored substantially less than the top performer. Equally, in doing that, you've missed less, but that's just in proportion to the fact that you shot less in total. Okay, so yeah, so you've got your total in green score here. Yeah, so layup, same sort of thing, you know, much less scored, same missed, overall much less taken. And we also looked at 3 points scored, you know, you missed your total, didn't score any here. We also looked at your defense, substantially lower. As we said before, you know, rebound is a huge thing for a small forward. It's a huge skill, and it's quite poor from you. Some passes was better. It was, you know, it was good. It was up there. And then obviously we had 6.2, the technical model, where we looked at the box out and rebound, so the preparation phase. Obviously here's you, and here's our elite performer. This is the elitist level completely. Then the execution phase, so yeah, that was the preparation phase. Execution phase here, you know, once again, you on the right, elite over here. We'll go on to the strengths and weaknesses of each thing overall momentarily. This is just to give you a reminder of what we looked at on the graphs and the images we used. And here the recovery phase, so the end phase of the skill. 6.3, we were looking at different forces. We're using force plates when we more numerical data basically. So your time in air, you know, you were green. Sorry, the best in the group was green. You were red, and the group mean was purple. Yes, this is just, you know, to give you an idea of the visuals. And like I said, we'll go on to the proper analysis of this in a minute. So yeah, here we looked at time in air, mean power output, resultant net force, impulse, acceleration, mean velocity, and jump height, which I would argue is the most crucial statistic we gathered. So here we will talk about each weakness individual, strength and weakness from each testing. So in notational analysis, so the first, where we looked at the indicators. Sorry, let me just go back. 6.2, obviously we were looking at the perfect model as well. You know, you're looking at the perfect model for performing that skill. And yeah, like I said, here is numerical data. So yeah, notational analysis. So overall, the good aspects of this were that your 2 points scored were above the group levels. You did score a high number of 2 points down the group, and you missed less 2 points in the group overall, the group average, which is good. You know, it means you are above a lot of the other players there. 3 points scored were above the average of the group as well, and the number of passes were higher than the group, which is it's good compared to, you know, other small forwards within the group. However, your overall distance covered was much less than the best in the group and an elite performer.